Welcome to a special session of our Cracker Barrel discussions. We, on a regular basis, attempt to have a group of us gathered around here discuss issues that may be in the larger world that we think will be of special interest to people at Lakeview, or sometimes controversial issues here at Lakeview, though it's hard to imagine Lakeview has any controversial issues. Today we have one of the most remarkable people that I know. He's one of 7 children, Bishara Awad, at my right. He is the founder of Bethlehem Bible College, which is a somewhat different Bible college than many people have in their mind. He founded it in 1979. He's one of 7 children in a family that collectively, I suspect, may well be one of the most effective promoters of nonviolent conflict resolution in the world. During the last half of the 20th century and to this day. Let me just mention a few of the things that some of the other members of the family. In 1948, when Israel was being founded, their father was killed by a bullet, and it was necessary for the children to be placed in an orphanage. And they have taken that experience and made the best of it. His brother Mubarak is the founder of the National Youth Advocate Program, the Palestinian Center for the Study of Nonviolence, and Nonviolence International, which is a non-governmental organization in special consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council. I've been interested in this topic of nonviolent conflict resolution for a lot of years because I checked it out a number of years ago, and to the best of anybody's ability to research it, we found that in 1970 there was only one college peacemaking studies course. And by today, there are well over 200 peacemaking courses in the United States, and probably an equal number throughout the world. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. And today there are several groups, even in Bethlehem, even in Palestine, of nonviolence.
Right. Another brother, Alex, is a Methodist minister that we got to know well. Ginger's always wanted to spend Christmas in Bethlehem. And so 2 years ago, we made arrangements to spend a month in Bethlehem. And Bishara, did I introduce you? Bishara Awad?
Not yet.
Not yet. Now I have.
Okay.
Bishara invited us to work as volunteers at the Bethlehem Bible College for a month, and we worked in the gift shop, which one of the things that they do is provide an outlet for the Palestinians to support themselves through making olive wood
souvenirs. Yeah.
Souvenirs. Good. His oldest brother, Nick, lives in Overland Park and is here today and is active in the Citizens for Justice in the Middle East. One of the most creative of the children is his son, Sammy, founded the Holy Land Trust, which among many other peacemaking activities initiated the Travel and Encounter program, where those wishing to learn Arabic each summer live with Palestinian families for several months, and he has created the Palestinian News Network.
That's right.
Did it do pretty good?
They are doing good and very active.
Wonderful. Okay, in addition to, here's what's different about Bethlehem Bible College. In addition to degrees in biblical studies, BBC offers degrees in mass media and to become certified tour guides. We discovered, Ginger and I have been over there 6 times in the Israeli-Palestinian area, and we discovered that in order to be a tour guide, you had to be certified, and that certification was pretty strongly focused on presenting the Israeli side. And Alan Boley said that Bishara is a propagandist. And he was surprised when I said, indeed he is. And so by offering degrees in mass media and to become certified tour guides, he is more effectively being able to present the Palestinian side. As who is it that said, and now the rest of the story here in the United States. Was that Edward R. Murrow?
Paul Winchell, I think.
Paul Winchell? Okay, anyway. One of the questions I have for you is, it was founded in 1979, and almost all of the cultural institutions and institutions of higher learning in Palestine have been shut down for up to 4 years. And one of the things that has continued to amaze me is how well Bethlehem Bible College has prospered over the years.
Well, thank you, Jim, very much. Bethlehem Bible College actually started in 1979, and I was the principal of a school. I started the Bible College in one of the classrooms, evening courses, 9 students, and when we started, we didn't have any money, we didn't have any church behind us, or any group for that matter behind us. All we had is a vision. What we need in Bethlehem is a Bible college. And I shared my vision with the pastors in the area. They all agreed, yes, we need a Bible college. And one pastor gave me a check for $20, and we started Bethlehem Bible College.
That's acting on faith.
That's acting on faith, but it is in line with what the Lord really wanted to have. And we started evening courses. Then I left the school. We rented a place. The place became small in no time because the Lord blessed us with students. We needed library. We needed this. We needed that. So we moved to another place, and they allowed us to use it. It was called the Helen Keller Homes for the Blind. They moved to Jerusalem, and the place was empty. So they allowed us to use it 6 years free of charge, 3 buildings. What the Lord has done is really amazing, really amazing. And then we were able to use it. We worked hard on raising funds. And in 1990, we were able to buy the buildings. And the Lord blessed us, so we were able to buy it for $1.8 million. So you see what $20 can do with the Lord. It's just amazing.
Loaves and fishes.
It is. And the Lord blessed us, and now we have another building that we were able to build. So we have 4 buildings of the Bible College, all paid for, praise the Lord. And Bethlehem Bible College is a college to train leaders for all the churches. And we are interdenominational, so we don't belong to any one particular church. And yes, we do give a degree in biblical study, BA, but we also now have an MA degree in Christian leadership.
Oh.
And we also have plans to start an MA degree in peace and conflict resolution studies. Mm-hmm. So in September or in the fall of 2014, we will start the MA in peace studies at Bethlehem Bible College. This program, it will be the only program in all of the Middle East, Masters in Peace Studies. And so we are trying now to find the funds for it and to work together with different institutions and churches so we can have this peace studies. But my name, Bishara, means good news. And I want to always to present the good news to the world and to have this Christian Center, Bethlehem Bible College in Bethlehem, because the people have been in conflict for many, many years. What they need is something good news, and I believe Bethlehem Bible College is a light for the Lord Jesus Christ and has been going on for the last 34 years. Personally, last June, I stepped down being the president, and now I am what they called me President Emeritus. I go around to raise funds for the college. So here I am in the United States visiting family, but at the same time also trying to raise funds for the Bible College. But we do come, like you said, from a family of 7 brothers and sisters. We lost our father in 1948, and I had a mother who struggled very hard, worked hard. She educated herself to become a nurse, a staff nurse, and then later a head of the hospital. And she is a model for us, a mother that truly have faith in Jesus. And for us, she is a saint. And she has taught us so many things. And one of the things that she has taught us right from the beginning is never revenge for the death of your father, but always love the Jews and love everybody, the Jews who killed our father, and love everybody. And that, of course, stayed with us. And my brother Alex did write a book about mother. It's called Palestinian Memories, the story of a Palestinian mother and her people. And she is what we are today and everything that we have. And she has so much humanity, and she cares for human beings all over the world. And the Lord used her. We had many miracles that she did. The Lord used her in miracles and in many other things. When I started the Bible College, I decided to have some theology because I'm an educator. I have a master's degree in education. And so I ended up in Fresno, California to study in the theological school over there, the Mennonite Brethren Biblical Seminary. But then I found out how my mother became a believer in Jesus. While in Fresno, we went to a marketplace, and while there, my wife and I and the children were speaking Arabic when this woman, a very old woman, came to us. She said, "Oh, I speak Arabic too. I hear you speak Arabic." And sure enough, we were visiting with her. Then she said something really interesting. "I used to be a missionary in a girls' school, and I'm really disappointed. I left the mission field, but no one became a believer. But for the last 40 years, I have been praying for this girl at that school. I wonder what happened to Huda. Huda is our mother." And when I asked her, "Are you Miss Brown?" she said, "Yes, how did you know?" Then I told her, my mother told us that she became a believer because of a missionary called Miss Brown. So after 40 years, she discovered she did touch somebody, and that is mother. You see how God works, and God showed her that her work as a missionary did not go for nothing. And it is just amazing. So all of us 7 brothers and sisters are believers in Jesus. We are churchgoers. But here, our one of them is a pastor of a church in Jerusalem. I am head of a Bible college, and the rest are really very interested in humanity, in reaching out and to other people who really are in some kind of a need, whether spiritually or whether any kind of need. At the Bible College, for example, we started the Shepherd Society to help the people of Bethlehem in their needs. And it's reaching out to people. We give them food baskets, medical care, and many other things. It's becoming the #1 in Bethlehem, a society to help the poor. in the last few months, the Shepherd Society have taken 2 groups with the leadership of Alex to north of Jordan to help the Syrian refugees.
Oh.
There are so many Syrian refugees, about 500,000, that are in Jordan, have left because of the civil war in Syria. And they are providing for them. But most of all, they are visiting with them, talking with them, comforting them, because they have lost everything. And Alex just last week even came back from such a trip with some students and some teachers. So we feel for humanity in general, and we want to help whatever we can help. And Bethlehem Bible College have been really a pioneer in making things clear to many people about the political situation of what is going on. For example, we have done a conference, an international conference, for people to understand the situation. We called it Christ at the Checkpoint. And Christ at the Checkpoint is one of the conferences to help, especially evangelicals, understand the situation. Because why the evangelicals? Because mostly the evangelicals have taken one side against the Palestinians. And because they read in the Bible that this land was given to the Jews only. And so the Palestinians, to them, are in the way of God's plans and the way of God's, what God wanted to do. And so, but we try to explain from the Bible that God loves all people, God loves the Palestinians, and so we try to explain the theology of the land and try to explain to evangelicals that, listen, look at the Bible. We live now in the new covenant, the covenant of grace and peace and love of the Lord Jesus Christ. And Christ at the Checkpoint is a conference that have been really successful. March of next year, 2014, March 10 to 14, we're going to have the 3rd conference, Christ at the Checkpoint. And we are hoping that we will have close to 800 to 1,000 people.
Wow.
That will come to Bethlehem, sponsored by Bethlehem Bible College, and so that people can understand. Because many times people have misunderstanding about Palestinians. And for example, one day we had a group of people, and I said, you Americans, what do you think of Palestinians? So one lady said, they are all terrorists. And another lady said, they don't exist. And so I told her, look at me, I do exist, I'm a Palestinian. And so we try to explain to them, and so that they can get a better understanding and not what they have been taught in the United States. Because in the United States, most people are kept in the dark. And most people have one side. Take the news, whether it is Fox News, CNN, or other news agencies. They are just about all of them, especially Fox News, against the Palestinians and for the Israeli state. And so this way, they form a bad image about the Palestinians. But what we need for people is to be there, to go there, like you and Ginger, you were there, and you understand the people. And I remember a pastor from Michigan who came to visit us a few years ago, and he has a large church, 18,000 members, a church, mega church. It's called Kensington Church in Troy, Michigan area. And he was there for only 1 week. At the end of the week, he was almost in tears. He said, Bishara, forgive me. I did not know. I did not know there are Palestinians who are Christians. I always thought all Palestinians are Muslims. I did not know about the suffering of the Church of Jesus Christ. I did not know about the suffering of the Palestinian people. I did not know that the Palestinians have lost land and are losing land all the time to the Israelis. I did not know that the Israelis, their aim is to kick the Palestinians out. Please forgive me. We had no idea that these things have been going on.
So you would invite any of the people here to come over and visit?
That's the best way to understand. Come and visit us. Come and be with us. Actually, you know, Jesus left heaven and came to be with us. And he was tempted like all of us. Of course, he did not, he was without a sin. But this is the way to really understand the situation and to understand what is really going on. Come to Bethlehem Bible College. We have a beautiful guest house.
Right.
And people can come and stay, mingle with the people, and understand the people, and don't just get your ideas from the news agencies that are one-sided.
One thing that Ginger and I feel blessed is we got to know Huda before she passed on, and I tend to be an intuitive person. And looking at Huda, I said to myself, this lady is a saint.
I believe so.
Now, one of the things we can discuss conflict resolution and nonviolent conflict resolution, but my perception is that far too often we do it in the abstract. And one of the things that I discovered years ago, which some of you have heard me preach on ad infinitum, is that if we are using our logic in the abstract, we can defend any side of any argument. And the one thing that, to me, in terms of nonviolent conflict resolution, is the moment you talk down to the people whose viewpoints are different from yours, the peacemaking ceases. So I'm interested in our looking at this situation because it's real.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Bishara, you mentioned the checkpoints, and some of our listeners may not be aware of what a checkpoint is. So if you could define that, and then I know that Jim and I had a great deal of problems going through the checkpoint through the wall from Bethlehem to Jerusalem. And if you could just explain somehow that worked.
West Bank, or the Palestinian territory area, which biblically is Judea and Samaria, all of this area, most of the Palestinians live in the West Bank. The West Bank has been under Israeli military occupation since 1967, the War of 1967. And according to the Geneva Convention, which is the United Nations, that if you are occupying another land, you are not supposed to do any changes. But unfortunately, Israel has built settlements, built a wall of separation. It's a very high wall, more than 8 meters high, and it's concrete with iron, with a door here and there in the wall to prevent people from going back and forth. So if I live in Bethlehem, and I do live in Bethlehem, if I want to go to Jerusalem, which is next door to us, I have to have a special permission to show the people at the checkpoint. But Israel have also built checkpoints all over the West Bank, the Palestinian towns and villages. So you are not able to go from one town to another without running into a checkpoint. To be searched by soldiers and to be stopped and to answer the soldiers' questions. So the checkpoint, more than 635 checkpoints just in the West Bank area, in the Palestinian territory. And so it is, for many people, the checkpoint is a hindrance. People cannot move around. Their freedom of movement, of travel have been taken away, and people are afraid to go to a checkpoint because there are the soldiers, and the soldiers are not people that are welcoming people, really.
So if you have been listening to media, you may not have gotten the full picture, and Bishara's responsibility and my responsibility is to share the rest of the story so we have a full understanding and negotiation can take place. Barbie?
I have a question. I've heard, who are your counterparts in Israel, Jews, who feel that peace and non-conflict are important too? I wondered what your contacts are that you have, in a positive sense.
Yes, the hope of the Palestinians really is in the Jewish community. There are several groups among the Jewish people that are for peace, for reconciliation, and like Peace Now groups, like Women in Black, for example. They wanted to see peace. And
Rabbis for Human Rights.
Exactly, Rabbis for Human Rights and many others. Clergy for Peace, for example, another group. They wanted to see peace, and we want to encourage these people and empower them so that they can continue to work for peace.
One of the ones I'm most impressed with are Jewish people in Israel and Palestinians, both of whom have lost members of their family through the conflict, get in touch with one another to discuss reconciliation. And that's where I think, as they say, the rubber hits the road.
Yes.
Jim, I have a question. That is, at one point you indicated that media are very heavily pro-Israeli. What of the popular or well-known media would you consider the most middle road, fair-minded, as compared to some that we know of or think of as being extremely one way or the other? Can you name some of American media that we ought to be seeking to read?
Thank you. Most of the media in the United States is one-sided. For example, earlier we mentioned the wall. This is a real wall, concrete wall, and Jim and Ginger have seen it, real wall. In the media in the United States, you never hear that Israel have erected a wall, a separation wall. If anything, they call it a fence. And of course, what's wrong having a fence between you and your neighbor? There's nothing. So they dilute the idea of having this wall, a separation wall in the United States. In the United States, they don't talk about the settlements, stealing. I mean, this is not a harsh word, but it is a true word. Stealing land and building a settlement, and the settlement eventually becomes a city and a big community.
No, my understanding is the media in Europe is vastly different than the media in the United States, that there's a much more balanced viewpoint. Is that correct?
Yes, if you are in England, in France, and other places, you'll get a better media and a better coverage, that more of the truth of what is going on.
But can you name some of the American media?
In the United States,
Well, what about public television?
I'm not aware of
I
that.
can't imagine watching Fox for news, I mean, for one thing. I mean, it's, to me, the most biased station. I mean, if you believe what they, if you're in that side, that's fine, but it just reinforce you. There's no balance at all. But public television, McNeil Air, to me, they are, if what they would do would be to present two people who are on different sides, and they would both be given the chance to discuss, and it's civil. They talk civilly, but that would be the only place that I can think of.
I think I've heard Bill Moyers speak on the issue in a balanced way. That's about all I've heard. Nick, have you heard of any?
It's been a long time since I've heard him, though.
So Thomas Friedman.
Oh, Thomas Friedman
comes
would
up
be
with a
good.
good
Yeah,
balance too.
Yes, and I know of a magazine. It comes out of Washington, D.C. It's called the Washington Report on the Middle East.
Right.
So if you can get hold of that magazine, at least it gives you perspective than the Israeli perspective. There are several, I cannot think of names, but there are several radio stations that tells the Palestinian side at least. But I don't know of any TV station, at least well-known American TV station. But please don't watch Fox News anymore.
I can't imagine.
I think you're preaching to the choir.
I think so.
Okay.
It seems that way.
Other
Well,
questions?
You were talking also about the, how you use the peaceful resolutions at the checkpoints and so forth. How do you teach for the people to not get angry when they are held up for several hours?
I have seen people like 4 o'clock in the morning to see the workers who had permission to go to Israel. They are treated like animals. In order to go, they are in a rolling door and fences all around them. It's like being in animal cages. And I've seen people, American, actually cry the way that the Palestinians are being treated at the checkpoint.
But how do you teach
On the
us to be
other hand,
nonviolent?
the reason we say Christ at the checkpoint is we can tell the soldiers and that Christ loves you. And if Christ is here, he will care for you like he himself is a Jew. And Christ would want to see peace, want to see justice. And even the people that have come to Christ at the checkpoint, they went to the checkpoint to pray, actually, and to lift up, to pray for both the Jews and for the Palestinians. And the whole idea is, what would Jesus do at that checkpoint? And the teachings of Jesus is very clear. Love your enemies and pray for peace.
And one of the things that I think Sammy does very effectively is allow people from the United States and Western countries to live with the Palestinians for several months so that they get acquainted with the Palestinians and have an understanding of the Palestinian viewpoint.
Yes, this is what we are calling a trouble encounter, where young people or any other can come and live with Palestinians' family, to be with them, to live with them, to understand them, to learn about the culture, to learn about the food. And actually they go to weddings, they go to places with them, and it's just an amazing program. And this program is available in summer for 1, 2, or 3 months for anybody to come. And I encourage you to encourage people to come and be part of this trouble encounter.
Yeah.
Marwood, what is your idea or your opinion as to why American media is so one-sided, pro-Israeli?
I can think maybe the reason why American media is one-sided, maybe I can think of few reasons, and one reason is the Jewish lobby in Washington, D.C. That would be a big reason. And I have been told, I don't know for sure, that most of the media, if not all, are run by Jewish elements and Jewish people.
Take exception to that. I think that there is a problem with a country that doesn't recognize the existence of Israel as being a, that this is, and also the bombs that are, continually being thrown there. We hear about that. I don't think it has anything to be with Jewish. There's a very strong, to me, the sad thing is the extremes on both sides. The terrorists of the Palestinian side and the extremists on the Jewish side, which at this point do have more control in the government. And to me, the sad thing is that these are the things that we are seeing. And, frankly, I think if I were being bombed daily, I would have problems, but I also know they treat the Palestinians very badly. My Jewish friends who've gone over there said that 20 years ago. But it's a dilemma that I think if you have true reconciliation, you will not be in the extremes. You have to be in the middle, where you recognize people as having, for one thing, I think they have to recognize they have a reason, they are there, and they have, you know, that's acceptable, but also that the Palestinians deserve to be treated like human beings, which they have not been, but not just by the Jews. By, frankly, the Arab world has been turned their back on them from the very beginning and used them, I think, as bait. And,
Yes,
you know, so it goes, I think it's a lot more to do than just a conspiracy of Jews.
I agree with you that the Palestinians have done many mistakes, and some of these mistakes have affected all the Palestinian people, like the suicide bombs. It is evil, it is terrible, and have done more harm to the Palestinians than even to the Jews. And I know this is bad, and I wish they have never done that, because they have been killing innocent people. And I remember my wife watching the news after a suicide bomb, and she was in tears to see innocent people dying. So not all Palestinians agree to the suicide bombs, and the suicide bombs are, as I said, they are evil. But in the last 10 years, you have not heard of any suicide bombs. And I think they have learned a lesson that it's not doing any good. And there's no way that they can get their rights by suicide bombs.
Rockets as well, I think, you know, whether they're suicide or not, the rockets are
They're
deadly.
being bombed daily by the Israelis also.
Yeah, but we don't hear much about that.
I worked in Saudi Arabia for 3 years.
Yes.
And there are a number of Palestinians working in Saudi Arabia, young educated men, but they're treated like second-class citizens. They're not treated as full citizens of Saudi Arabia. So I can vouch that the Arab world.
Yes.
I have a different question, though. Recently, the Prime Minister of the Palestinian National Authority resigned. I believe his name is Fayyad.
Salam Fayyad.
Yeah, and he was a moderate effect, I think, on the extreme elements in the Palestinian National Authority Parliament, and it's a disappointment, I guess, to the peace movement. Would that be right, to see that he is...
I'm among those, many others. I'm not a politician, and I'm just, I run a Bible college. I liked Salam Fayyad, the Prime Minister, and I liked the way he was dealing with things. He is a very moderate person, like you said. But now another person have taken his position, and he was a professor at Al-Najah University, and a well-educated person and well-respected person. So I feel the second man is also going to follow in the footsteps of Salam Fayyad for peace, for negotiation, because right now the Palestinians have stopped all negotiations with the Israelis because of the settlement issue. And they said, stop the settlements, we will talk. So I think this new man is an educated man, and I believe he's a good man.
That's good news.
So we'll have to just wait and see how he will work things out.
One final question. I don't want us to talk forever, which this group could do very easily. In today's news, we read that Rouhani was elected the new president in Iran. And I didn't know whether you had any thoughts or were aware of what that situation is in Iran. What I cut out of today's paper, which you may take with you, seems to think that he's more moderate than Ahmadinejad, which is not very
Sort of an
hard to
upset,
be.
from what I gather. It was an upset. They did not expect this to happen.
Yeah, which I thought was a good sign.
Yeah.
Yes, Iran is one of the countries in the Middle East or Far East that should be recognized as one of the powers that is there, and Iran is very important. Iran plays a big role in, for example, supporting Syria and the government of Syria against the civil war that is going on in Syria. And this is in contrary to where the Arab countries are supporting the underground guerrilla groups. And so Iran is putting weapons and other things to Syria. And I'm saddened lately that the United States have decided to support this guerrilla groups in Syria. In Syria. But Iran is an important power over there, and we are praying and hoping that this is the first time I see this, Hassan Roland, that he will work for peace, for justice, and maybe he can improve relations with the United States, which is very important.
Okay. Any,
I have one question. I'd like to ask you to profile the student body of the Bible College, so we know who the students are, where they come from, what they want to do.
Yes, thank you very much. The students' body at Bethlehem Bible College is made up of about 185 students. They are all Palestinians because under the Israeli occupation, we do not have the right to bring students from outside to come and study and give them a student's visa. The Palestinian Authority have no authority to bring anybody from outside. And in Bethlehem itself, most of the students, they are with us, and they study BA, a diploma first in media, in tour guiding, and then a BA, and then an MA program. We also have an extension. We have an extension in Nazareth, where we have more students over there, and we have another extension in Gaza, where we are training people in the way of the Bible. So altogether, maybe we work with about 200 students. Thank you for that question.
and I understand that you have had Muslim students take Bible courses. That's
Yes.
not one of the images I've had of Bible colleges, but indeed the Old Testament is, and the New Testament is honored by many of the Muslims, so it would be natural that they might be interested in studying that as well.
Yes, not this year, but in previous years they have graduated. We have about 5 Muslim students, and we do have Muslims today in the media and in the tour guides, and they come to us. We also, Muslims come all the time to the Bible College to study English as a second language. So they get, to come to the library to see Christian literature around all the time. And it is fascinating to see many Muslims interested in the Bible. They come and they ask for a Bible, and they ask questions about Christianity. So we are there as a Christian center, and we answer their concerns and their questions.
One of the things that disappoints me is that at one point in Palestine, I think 20% of the people living in Palestine were Christians, and now it's down around half of 1%. And one of my Jewish friends says, "You Christians don't take very good care of your brothers."
I believe so. I agree with this Jewish man, because Christianity slowly is disappearing from the Holy Land. And that is one big concern for all of us Christian leaders, that Christians are leaving, they are packing up in families, and they're coming to the United States, Australia, Canada, and other places.
Because they can.
Because they can, and because they have relatives. And as I said, I come from 7 brothers and sisters. Only Alex and I are there. The rest of them are in the United States and
Sure.
other places. So we want to keep Christianity going on over there. So help us to keep Christians and the church alive in the land where it started.
I have a suspicion that both you and Nick would be willing to stay around a little longer and answer questions off camera.
We will be very happy to do that.
And thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jim.
It's always a joy to
Thank
get
you.
back in touch with you and
Thank
the
you.
rest of
Great.
your family. It's a very blessed family.
Well,
Thank you.
the Lord is good.